Yeehaw, I'm doing just a really short video clip here. You can probably hear the AC running. Sorry about that. I don't really have great control over it, so whatever. Anyway, I got a delivery from Blade HQ today, and it's this guy from CJRB. And you're probably wondering, well, what the hell is that? Because these model numbers really... Yeah, whatever. It's the largest Feldspar in Micarta, which sounded kind of neat to me. I've basically opened them up a few times. Only had them for, I don't know, a couple hours or so. And I got some good impressions overall. I'm obviously going to be doing a little bit of comparison here with the Centros, which is one that actually came out after this guy. But I also got, another knife care thing. So a couple of microfiber claws, another, tough glide vial. I'm about halfway done with the one I have here, and it's after treating about 90 knives with it or whatever. It also comes with some generic Loctite, but I haven't actually used that stuff yet. Whatever. It's always nice to have some smaller microfiber claws. Anyway, so here we go. I haven't done any kind of measurements on them yet, other than I know it's a 3.5-inch blade, obviously. So we'll go ahead and just pop this guy on my scale real quick. Let's go to ounces first. And we got just shy of 3.7 ounces, 3.695. And that equals 104.8 grams. So not too bad, pretty average. Set that guy aside. You got the same kind of deep carry clip that the Centros does, but they're actually flathead screws instead of buttons like these guys and so many others. That's fantastic. That gives you more room for thicker pockets or thicker material in your pockets. Thumb stud with great action there. I did honestly just put a nice edge on this little duder just a few minutes ago because I was sharpening a whole bunch of other stuff. So this guy is scary sharp. No effort whatsoever to cut through. I use a lot of ad paper because I don't really have a phone book around, and this paper is usually pretty darn thin. So that's what I end up using a lot of times. So yeah, D2 steel, 3.5-inch blade, as I said before. It does technically have a choil here. As with almost any knife that's from a Chinese designer or whatever, it's a little small for my larger fingers. So it's not for me, but I don't mind being that much behind a blade anyway. Besides, if I really want to choke up, I do a pinch grip, and so having that edge right below my thumb really doesn't matter for those situations. But yeah, it's I don't know exactly where they get the canvas micarta from, but they say it's USA sourced, which is interesting. It's got a pretty darn rough texture on it. It's a little rougher in general than the Centros and also the Ria, which I don't have in front of me at the moment. But they're both basically the same micarta kind of stuff, but this one's just a little bit rougher. I don't know if that was anything in particular in the factory or whatnot. I do like to see that you can slap the pocket clip on the left side. It is kind of strange to me. It will probably look a little strange actually, because this screw isn't flat, it's button head, but these are flat. So you're going to have one flat and one button head if you switch it over to the other side. A little interesting. Oh well. And you have a little lanyard hole here, and that's just going through the micarta. The liners actually completely avoid that, which is interesting. Maybe not the most strong, but yeah, I don't really care about lanyards all that much anyway, so it really shouldn't bother me. Yeah, I can pull out my little calipalulus, and yeah, we got just about 0.55 of an inch there for handle thickness. And as for blade thickness. Let me just go ahead and switch on over to millimetric. And we got 3.1 millimeters there. So, yeah, it's pretty good, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty good blade stock thickness. You know, it's fairly thick, and you see it kind of goes fairly thick down to the point. But it's nearly a full flat grind. It's got a little shelf there at the top. I actually kind of prefer that. If you're trying to sharpen on a clamp system, like a KME or a Lansky or whatever, it's really nice to have a reference point that's flat. But yeah, it's a great knife. It's got great action out of the box. I haven't done anything like take it apart yet or anything. Nice brass accents that the Centros kind of has a little bit, but these guys are a little bit more accentuated, and they have it around the pivot, whereas the Centros does not. So, I am curious what's on the inside, because I've always kind of had surprises whenever I open up a CJRB. So let's see how this one goes, huh? I do want to start on this side, and I'll start with taking the clip off. I know a lot of people generally defer from doing that if they can help it, because you know, it just puts excess wear and tear on there. But a lot of times you do actually have to take them off to remove it. Like this one actually has one of those pocket screws that goes into the back spacer here. So there you go. Let me go ahead and remove this other back spacer screw. It's coming right out. These are T6, by the way. And then the pivot there is T8, but I will see if I need to remove these guys from the other side. Nope, they're free spinning. Okay. How about this one over here? Same difference. Alrighty. So let's switch over to T8. Boop. Alright. Let's try from the other side. Okay. So the screw is actually on the presentation side, which is a little bit different than what I'm used to for a lot of knives. Ain't nothing particularly wrong with it, but you know, I guess for a lot of knives it's super easy to actually deal with that too. This guy's got a little stainless steel ring that was here, kind of probably just a little bit of a spacer kind of thing there. But yeah, at this point the knife is just coming apart. So let's go ahead and pull that blade out, and well, here's the blade stop pin. But yeah, what you can see is the micarta in this is actually that blade's pretty intense. All right, I'll move that. Yeah, these guys are inlaid, which is interesting because the Centro certainly is not. It has full steel liners, and then these guys are kind of sandwiched on top. Which can be good, can be bad. In this case, it's actually not too bad because they're it's fairly thick and wide anyway, so I have enough room for my thumb there. So I really do like that inset design that they got going on with this one. Let's see. Alright, yeah, we got ceramic bearings. Neaty. And let's grab one of my little microfiber cloths to clean off whatever goop they put on the factory. It always depends on what company's doing what. But hey, so the first thing, yeah, you can see there's a little bit of scratchies in a different pattern going there, but it looks like they actually knocked off the burr that they generally do when they drill right into that little area for a little relief, which is good. I've actually had to, well, not had to, but I have knocked down a burr on that on some of their other knives, so I don't have to do that here, which is neat. I like that. Alright, and these barrel spacers are in there pretty good. So somewhere under the giant clutter that is my desk. Ah, here we go. I got just my Standard Swiss Army pliers. I think those are the Swiss Army Spirit. But, yeah, these are fantastic little pliers. Oh, yeah. Do have to switch back to T6, obviously. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so there's that one, and a little brass spacer. And let's do it for this guy right here. Have me fumble around and everything. There we go. You can see, maybe not super well, but there's quite a bit of Loctite of the, factory white style, so who knows exactly. But it wasn't too bad, so I'm assuming it's not permanent. Which is fine, I'm just going to replace it with Loctite blue anyway. So there is that. And then this guy is actually, yep, he's fully out, so I can pop this liner out that's nice and skeletonized. And I don't see any other scuff marks there. You can see basically the ball bearing trace right around there. I mean, obviously they didn't grind that in there, but it's there nonetheless. It is interesting with this particular hole. It's got a couple of little divot imperfection kind of things going on there. It's not a big deal, and there's no burrs on it or anything, which is great. So the next thing I want to take a look at, after I clean off a little bit more goop, is the blade. And mostly it's the back portion here. Yeah. This one's not too bad, but you can see just a little tiny bit of kind of burning there, and there's also a burr where I can't actually pull my thumb fully over it. And for the most part, it's not a big deal because of the width that the ball bearings get you, but it kind of bothers me a little bit. So I got a super fine little diamond plate, and this came on the Work Sharp. I don't know, it was about $25-30 kind of thing. But I like it because it's super thin, works great for scissors and whatnot. But yeah, I will just go ahead and take that little burr off, being extra careful not to slice my hand up. So I want to basically set it flat on there and then tilt it up just slightly so I don't scuff up the actual blade where the ball bearings rest. Yep, it's perfectly fine there. And that doesn't affect the lockup of the knife, but I guess the only way that it could is if it actually got all the way to 100%, which you got much worse problems if if that's there. So, okay, at this point, I am happy, and I want to grab a little Q-tip here so I can clean some things out on the blade. This guy actually seems rather clean compared to a lot of knives out of the factory. Okay, and I will start putting them back together a little bit. The one last thing that I do want to do first, though, is actually give the ball bearings just a bit of a wipe. There's the other one. Okay. So obviously these don't go together because that has the liner notch. So there we go. There's a fit in. Go ahead and slap these back spacer screws on there, at least somewhat. Always nice to have a little bit of a magnet to help you get that stuff all up in there. And pick them up off the board. That's mostly what I'm talking about in this particular situation. Alrighty, and then here's the second back spacer. Get in that hole, boy. There we are. Alright, now I don't have to clamp those down. They are going to be free spinning at the moment, but, well, they're a little sharp, and really doesn't matter once I actually put all the rest of the knife back together. So, yeah, this is the presentation side, and that's the side that had this screw on there. Usually I do like to start on the presentation side, but I won't do that in this case, because I do like to start with the actual pivot instead of the pivot screw. So, we will start over here, and I will slide that liner back all up in there. And then look around my desk for, aha, it was just right out of view. Good old KPL. So, this guy's got a D-shaped pivot. Makes me happy for sure. And that D-shape looks like it's facing down towards the butt end. I put them on backwards. There we are. Okay, and lead stop pin that almost went flying, well, off of the desk, but it didn't, so we're good there. Yeah, just a little dab of KPL, and put on that first bearing, and just kind of spin it a little bit. Sweet. Okay. Then we can slap the little blade back on there. And this way it'll actually engage with the liner lock, so you don't have to worry about the blade flopping about, which makes me a little bit more confident in things. So we'll put just a little bit more KPL on there. And then on top of the other bearing. And I can slap this guy all up on top here. Like I said, this side had a little tiny thin steel washer spacer, so I shall slap that back in the hole. And then this guy, I actually want to put just a little bit of the Loctite on there. And generally, what I've been doing for pivots is actually using the liquid stuff. You can see that this collar actually is a separate piece. Just thought you should know. Alright, where is there? Okay, so there's my messy Loctite. And I just kind of set it, well, you already dripped a little bit, but sure. That's pretty darn covered for what I want. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and slap him right back on top there. Tighten him on down. That's great for now. And now I can put the screws and the screws and the clip back on the clip side, which means I have to switch back over to a T6 and preferably not lose any screws or anything. A lot of times you'll stick some Loctite into these kind of screws, but I don't super feel the need to do that in these cases here. But I will have to employ a little bit of a motivating second hand for putting this back together, because these back spacers are free spinning, which that's not my favorite, but it is what it be. I'm not going to bother putting Loctite into these body screws because they actually still have residual amounts there, and they held on pretty good, so there's that. And then the much shorter screw will go down into the second screw hole here. Go ahead and tighten these guys up quite a bit. Well, the one that I can. Okay. So to deal with these free spinning little things, I'll generally pull out this cheap little Gorilla Grip thing. This guy has a whole bunch of T sizes from 6 to, geez, like 25. Yeah. But we're looking for 6. And 6 is the smallest one on here. So that way you can actually pin it on one side with this. So you can get your screwdriver in there on the other side and tighten them right up. So I'll do that for the other pivot screw there. Alrighty, and you can tell he's pretty loose, but he's also really hanging over to the side. So we'll see if tightening the pivot up will actually improve that or not. Yep, look at that, moved right back over. Alright, there's just a tiny, tiny little bit of blade play. Now there's nothing. Oh yeah. It is a little bit smoother. Not by a whole lot, but yeah, every little bit helps. The last thing I end up doing for pretty much any of my D2 blades is dousing them down in just a little bit of Tough Glide stuff. Also, a lot of times, if I do fully take something down for the first time, I will hit them with Tough Glide on the liners, but it's very much not important to do so, because, yeah, unless you're using them in your sweaty pants for, you know, a decade, you're really not going to have a problem with it. But yeah, I got just a little thing. Some people use like gun cotton or whatever. I actually found these expert touch things there. I guess like for cleaning nails or whatever. It actually sucks for doing that, but they're lint free and still cotton. They have just a tiny, tiny little bit of texture to them, and it makes them really difficult to try to tear. So they work fantastic for cleaning and everything. So yeah, I just put just a little bit on there. This stuff's also really great at getting adhesive off if you have any tape glue or other strangeness all up on your blade. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and wipe that little duder down. And then give it a sniff because it smells a little bit like WD-40. You don't have to, but I recommend it. Alrighty. And then I'll generally let the whatever the what's the word I'm trying to the solution or whatever stuff that it's actually dispersed in that deals with all the adhesive and whatnot. Let that evaporate off, and it takes like a couple of minutes or whatever. And then you're good to go. I really do like this thing quite a bit. Beforehand, I was kind of like, the Feldspar looks okay. I know a lot of people have been talking about it quite a bit recently, but I'd already had the Centros. At least I have the carbon fiber one as well as I picked this guy up as well. And I like this guy quite a bit. I really like the blade shape, and it's got a little bit longer handle. But the micarta on this thing was like super, super thin, and it's because they didn't nest the liners on it. So you still have basically your thumb is resting on steel, and there's no jimping there. There is a little bit on the back there, which is good. Whereas this guy, because they've nested the liners in there, you have a larger amount of micarta on the top. And because it's got more grip here, I don't actually care all that much that there isn't jimping on the top of the blade. I might have wanted a few, like up to maybe right at the thumb stud or something like that. But it's not super required. Otherwise, it's got a nice wide, flat micarta place for my thumb to rest. So yeah, I do really, really like this guy quite a bit so far. Now that I've gotten a hold of him, I will say that fits perfectly in my larger hands, which means I am not interested in getting the I don't know if they call it the regular or the small size of this Feldspar, because it's going to be too small for me. But this one's fantastic. It's got a decent blade length on it. Wasn't super difficult to sharpen because the thumb stud is actually, behind the choil here, so you don't really have any problems. Well, you don't have much of a problem hitting your thumb stud on a stone or whatever else that you might be sharpening on. So that's fantastic. The only thing I kind of worry about a little bit is if you want to use a lanyard, that it's not really reinforced by anything but 2 strips of micarta there. And I guess if I was really nitpicking, I would like a matching screw on that side, just so I don't have a hole there. But otherwise, yeah, this thing's super sweet. Can't wait to actually get around to cutting a whole bunch of stuff with it. It's gonna be fun. Anyway, this was just kind of me rambling on and on and on because I just got a new knife today and wanted to take a look at it and take it apart and re-lube it and take a look at it on all the inside stuff and all that sort of good stuff. And you can see it's favoring just slightly to the right side, away from the liner lock. But that's exactly the way that it came out of the box before I disassembled it as well. And obviously there's no blade rubbing or anything going on. So, I mean, I could work on that if I really wanted to move it over, like, I don't know, several micrometers or microns or whatever. But, no, it doesn't bother me one bit at all. Yeah, this is a good one, and probably one of my favorite CJRBs so far that I've got, along with the Rhea. The Rhea is also a fantastic knife. But, yeah, so there's kind of what I do when I get a hold of a new knife. I obviously didn't film me sharpening because I just don't really have a setup out in the garage to be able to do that yet. I sharpen on a Work Sharp Ken Onion edition with the blade grinder attachment, which just does a fantastic job, especially if you invest in some leather belts there. And for doing kind of that final bit of stropping, and if you really want to get crazy with it, which I sometimes do, I do have 1,000 or 100,000 and 200,000 grit diamond compound that I'll actually slap into that. I actually have a new one out there. This one is quite covered in blade steel, mostly 14C28N, but it's probably got some D2 and S90V and M390 and whatnot on there. But I've used that one for quite a bit, and I do need to try to clean up all the steel off of that so I can continue on with using it. This particular brand, I don't remember which one it was because I got them from 2 different brands. This one I actually don't like all that much. It's a thinner, floppier leather, so that works pretty well for the the actual mechanic thing of it, because it's easier to spin it around, so it puts a little bit less stress on the motor. But these little things flake off like all over the place, and your garage ends up looking like a white Christmas filled with like little leather flakes. And also because it's a little bit thinner, and the way that the Ken Onion thing rolls on basically just a wheel that's about that width, it's a little bit proud in the center, and so this thing actually wobbles just a little bit. Really doesn't make all that much of a difference if you were just doing the absolute finishing edge on there, but if it was doing it on any other belt, it would be useless. But the other company that I got stuff from, these little leather guys, hold up a little bit more. They're a little bit stiffer, so it does bog down the motor just a little bit more. I only run them on the lowest speed, obviously. And yeah, it doesn't sound like there's any risk of problems happening. And I really, really like the results that happen. So, okay. Jesus, I have rambled on for over a half hour on a little knife. I apologize for all the crap that I got going on here. I've been doing a lot of rope cutting tests. Mostly with there we go. Mazwan Mukhtar TS-187 Fangtooth, because it's in S90V. And some Tucson's in the past haven't really done a good job with that. What I can say is it's still cutting paper. And right now on my tally, I got 550 cuts I've done so far. And I can just grab a little bit here, and why not? This is probably useless for this video, but yep. And it's obviously not nearly as smooth as it is down here, because I'm only using basically the top edge there. But so far, this is severely outperforming the other S30V stuff that I have going on, or S90V from Tucson. So it's good. It kind of shows progress that they've probably improved the heat treat on these guys over time. Anyway, I really need to stop talking, because I'm sure you're bored even if you're here. I mean, if you are here, you could always give me a little like, comment, and subscribe. I would like that. That would be nice. But yeah. Yep, I'm getting out of your hair. Rambling's over. So bye. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, yo.